Okay, here we go. Let's talk quickly about the area of a parallelogram. First, let's just draw roughly a quick parallelogram. And we know that for the area, we're going to take the base times the height. So the base is pretty easy. There's my base. My height has to be a perpendicular distance. So I could measure my height here. I could measure my height outside. But the thing to remember is that the base must be perpendicular to the height. The B and the H have to be perpendicular. So a real quick example would maybe be something like this, where we have a parallelogram, let's say a base of 10, and let's put in here a height of 6. So the area very easily becomes base times height. My base was 10, my height was 6. So we're looking at 60. And since we're doing area, we would make it units squared. So if these were inches, we'd have said inches squared. If it was feet, we'd have said feet squared, and so forth. Let's look at a parallelogram where it might not be quite as obvious as to my height. And let's keep the base at 10. But this time, let's say that this side is 5. And I need to figure out my height. Well, I really don't have enough information in this problem. But let's say I had told you that that length was 3 from there to there. Well, we could have used Pythagorean theorem to get that that length was 4. So my base times height now becomes 4 times 10, or 40 units squared. Remember from previous units, in my parallelogram category, I also have a rectangle, a rhombus, or a square. We would use the same formula for the rectangle and the square. We could use it for a rhombus, though we will have a special formula that we can use for a rhombus. So remember, area of a parallelogram is simply base times height, where the B has to be perpendicular to the H. Okay? Next, let's talk about the area of a triangle. Well, we get this formula from really taking a parallelogram that I know is base times height. And if I draw that line, I now have 2 triangles. So I just cut that area in half. You probably have seen this formula before in a previous course. Some of you may have learned it as area is 1/2 base times height. Same thing. So very easily, if we make a triangle, make this my base. Remember, the B must be perpendicular to H. So there's my height. If I were to have a right triangle, I can use the height as one of the sides because, again, they are perpendicular to one another. So a quick example would maybe be, we have a triangle. Let's say the base is 10. I tell you that the height is 6. We know that the area formula is the base times the height divided by 2. So this would be 30. And remember, it's units squared.